Title: The Strange Shadow Symbol. Main story: James Bloom and Monica Bliss were both students at Central College in New York. They had been friends for a long time and enjoyed spending time together. One night, James received a strange message on his phone. The message read, 666 Follow me and share the message with Monica. At first, James thought it was a joke, but then he noticed that the message had come from an unknown number. He showed the message to Monica, who was also puzzled by it. They decided to ignore it and go to bed, but they couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The next day, James and Monica met up on campus. James seemed distracted, and Monica could tell that something was bothering him. He finally confessed about the message he received the night before. Monica tried to brush it off as a prank, but deep down, she was just as concerned as James. Later that day, James received another message from the same unknown number. This time the message read, "You can run, but you can't hide." James and Monica were now convinced that someone was messing with them. They decided to investigate and see if they could find any information about the mysterious number. As they began their search, strange things started happening around them. They heard strange noises at night, and they felt like they were being watched wherever they went. They also noticed that their phones were acting up, and they couldn't make or receive calls. James and Monica were starting to feel like they were in danger. One night, they decided to confront the unknown number. They sent a message back, asking who they were and what they wanted. The response they received chilled them to the bone. The message read, "I am the devil, and I have come for your souls." James and Monica were terrified. They didn't know what to do or who to turn to. They felt like they were in a horror movie, and they were the main characters. As they were trying to come up with a plan, they noticed a figure lurking in the shadows. They started to run, but they didn't get very far. The figure caught up to them and revealed itself to be a demon. The demon chased them through the dark alleys and streets of New York City, with James and Monica barely staying one step ahead. As they ran, they stumbled upon an abandoned church. They ran inside and locked the doors behind them. They thought they were safe, but the demon was still lurking outside, waiting for them to come out. James and Monica searched the church for any means of escape, but they soon realized that they were trapped. The demon was waiting for them outside, and they had nowhere to go. They had been lured into a trap, and there was no way out. Just when all hope seemed lost, James remembered something he had read in a book about demonology. He quickly drew a pentagram on the ground and recited a spell he had memorized. The demon let out a deafening scream and disappeared into the night. James and Monica were shaken but relieved that they had survived. They knew that they had narrowly escaped a terrible fate. From that day on, they made a promise to each other to never ignore strange messages again. They knew that the world was full of unknown dangers, and they had to be careful. As James and Monica left the church, they couldn't help but feel like they were being watched. They quickly made their way back to their dorm room, locked the door behind them, and sat down to catch their breath. The events of the night had left them both shaken, and they sat in silence for a few moments, trying to process everything that had happened. James couldn't shake the feeling that they weren't safe, even in their own room. Suddenly, their phones started ringing simultaneously. James and Monica looked at each other in horror as they realized that the call was coming from the same unknown number that had been sending them messages. James hesitated for a moment before answering, not knowing what to expect. On the other end of the line, they heard a low, sinister voice. It was the same voice that had been sending them messages, and it sent chills down their spines. The voice laughed menacingly and said, "You may have escaped me for now, but I will be back. You cannot escape your fate." James and Monica knew that they were in grave danger. They had no idea who or what they were up against, but they knew that they needed help. They quickly gathered their things and left the dorm room, determined to find someone who could help them. As they walked through the deserted campus, they heard footsteps behind them. They turned around to see the same figure that had been chasing them earlier. This time, the figure was carrying a sword, and it was clear that it meant business. James and Monica ran as fast as they could, but they knew that they couldn't outrun the figure forever. They needed to come up with a plan, and fast. They ran towards the nearest building, which happened to be the library. They quickly made their way inside and locked the door behind them. They knew that the figure wouldn't be able to get in, but they also knew that they were trapped. As they searched for a way out, James noticed an old book lying on one of the shelves. The book was old and dusty, but it had a strange symbol on the cover that caught his eye. James picked up the book and opened it, hoping to find something that could help them. As he flipped through the pages, he came across a page that had a drawing of the same figure that had been chasing them. The page also had a description of the figure, and it mentioned that it was a demon hunter. James quickly realized that they had been mistaken about the figure. It wasn't a demon, but a demon hunter who had been sent to protect them. The demon hunter had been trying to warn them about the demon that had been sending them messages, but they had misunderstood. As James and Monica stepped out of the library, they saw the demon hunter waiting for them. He explained everything to them and apologized for scaring them. He had been sent to protect them from the demon, who had been after their souls. James and Monica were relieved but also confused. They had no idea who had sent the demon after them or why they had been targeted. The demon hunter told them that they were not safe and that they needed to leave New York as soon as possible. James and Monica knew that they had no choice but to leave. They packed their bags and left for the airport, hoping to leave their nightmare behind them. As they boarded the plane, James and Monica couldn't help but feel like they were being watched. They looked around nervously, but they couldn't see anything out of the ordinary. They knew that they were not safe, and they had no idea what awaited them in their new destination. As the plane took off, James and Monica felt a sense of relief wash over them. They were finally leaving New York and the nightmare behind them. However, their relief was short-lived when they realized that they were not alone on the plane. Sitting a few rows ahead of them was a man dressed in all black, with a hood covering his face. James and Monica couldn't see his face, but they knew that something was off about him. They tried to ignore him and focus on their journey, but they couldn't shake the feeling of unease. As the flight progressed, the man in black seemed to be getting closer to them. James and Monica could hear him whispering to himself, and they could feel his eyes on them. Suddenly, the plane hit turbulence, and the lights flickered on and off. James and Monica held onto each other tightly, trying to ride out the turbulence. However, when the lights came back on, they saw that the man in black was gone. James and Monica frantically looked around, trying to find him, but he was nowhere to be seen. They realized that they were not alone on the plane, and whoever was after them was getting closer. They knew that they needed to do something, but they didn't know what. Suddenly, James remembered the old book that he had found in the library. He pulled it out of his bag and flipped through the pages, searching for anything that could help them. As he read, he came across a page that had a description of a powerful spell that could banish demons and evil spirits. James knew that this was their only hope, but he also knew that he needed Monica's help. He showed her the page and explained what they needed to do. Monica was hesitant at first, but she knew that they had no other choice. They closed their eyes, held hands, and recited the spell together. As they finished the spell, they heard a loud scream, and the plane suddenly jolted. When they opened their eyes, they saw that the man in black had been banished. They breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that they had finally defeated their enemy. When they landed, James and Monica were greeted by a group of people who were waiting for them. The group explained that they were demon hunters, and they had been sent to protect James and Monica. They explained that James and Monica were not ordinary people, but descendants of a powerful demon hunter who had been chosen to save the world from a great evil that was rising. The demon that had been after them was only the beginning, and they had a long and dangerous journey ahead of them. James and Monica knew that their lives would never be the same again, but they also knew that they had a responsibility to fulfill. They joined the demon hunters and embarked on a journey that would take them to the ends of the earth and beyond. As they left the airport, James and Monica couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement and fear. They knew that they were in for the adventure of a lifetime, but they also knew that the stakes were high, and failure was not an option. Over the next few weeks, James and Monica trained with the demon hunters and learned about the ancient powers that they possessed. They also learned about the great evil that was rising and the role they had to play in stopping it. As they trained, they began to notice strange occurrences happening around them. Objects would move on their own, and strange shadows would follow them wherever they went. They knew that these were signs that the evil was getting closer. One night, while they were out on a mission with the demon hunters, they found themselves surrounded by a group of demons. The demons were fierce and relentless, and James and Monica knew that they were in for the fight of their lives. They fought with all their might, but the demons were too powerful. James and Monica were badly injured, and they knew that they were about to be defeated. Suddenly, they heard a voice calling out to them, and a bright light appeared in the distance. The light grew brighter and brighter, and as it approached, they saw that it was their ancestor, the powerful demon hunter who had saved the world centuries ago. The demon hunter appeared to them in a vision and gave them the strength and courage to keep fighting. They felt a surge of energy flow through their bodies, and they were filled with a renewed sense of determination. They fought back with all their might, and with the help of the demon hunters, they were able to defeat the demons. They emerged victorious, but they knew that the battle was far from over. As they rested and tended to their wounds, they knew that they had to keep fighting. The great evil was still out there, and they had to stop it before it was too late. Over the next few months, James and Monica traveled the world, facing new challenges and battling evil at every turn. They encountered demons, ghosts, and other supernatural entities, but they never lost hope. With the help of the demon hunters, they uncovered ancient artifacts and secrets that gave them the power they needed to defeat the evil. They fought with all their might, and they never gave up.